Why non-cooperation? In his famous book Hind Swaraj, 1909, Mahatma Gandhi declared that British rule was established in India with the cooperation of Indians and had survived only because of this cooperation. If Indians refused to cooperate, British rule in India would collapse within a year and Swaraj would come. How could non-cooperation become a movement? Gandhiji proposed that the movement should unfold in stages. First stage, it should begin with the surrender of titles that the government awarded. Second stage, boycott of civil services, army, police, courts and legislative councils, schools and foreign goods. Then in case of government used full civil different strands within the movement. The non-cooperation Khilafat movement began in January 1921. Various social groups participated in this movement, each with its own specific aspiration. All of them responded to the call of Swaraj, but the term meant different things to different people. The movement in the towns. The movement started with the middle class participation in the cities. Thousands of students left government-controlled schools and colleges. Headmasters and teachers resigned, and lawyers gave up their legal practices. The council elections were boycotted in the most provinces except Madras, where the Justice Party, the party of the non-Brahmins, felt that entering the council was one way of gaining some power, something that usually only Brahmins had access to. The effects of non-cooperation on the economic front were more dramatic. Foreign goods were boycotted, liquor shops picketed, and foreign clothes burned in huge bonfires. The import of foreign clothes halved between 1921 and 1922, its value dropping from Rs 102 crore to Rs 57 crore. In many places, merchants and traders refused to trade in foreign goods or finance foreign trade. As the boycott movement spread and people began discarding imported clothes and wearing only Indian ones, production of Indian textiles mills and handlooms went up. But this movement in the cities gradually slowed down for a variety of reasons. Khadi cloth was often more expensive than mass-produced milk cloth and poor people could not afford to buy it. Rebellion in the countryside. Rebellion in the countryside. From the cities, the non-cooperation movement spread to the countryside. It drew into its fold the struggles of peasants and tribals in Awadh. Peasants were led by Baba Ramachandra, a sannyasi who had earlier been to Fiji as an indentured laborer. The movement here was against talukdars and landlords who demanded from peasants exorbitantly high rents and variety of other cesses. Peasants had to do beggar and work at landlords' farms without any payment. By October, the Awadh Kisan Sabha was set up, headed by Jawaharlal Nehru, Baba Ramachandra and a few others. Within a month, Over 300 branches had been set up in the villages around the region. The Gooden Hills Revolt. In the Gooden Hills of Andhra Pradesh, for instance, a militant guerrilla movement spread in the early 1920s, not a form of struggle that the Congress could approve. Here, as in the forest regions, the colonial government had closed large forest areas, preventing people from entering the forest to graze their cattle or to collect fuel wood and fruits. This enraged the hill people. Not only were their livelihoods affected, but they felt that their traditional rights were being denied. When the government began forcing them to contribute beggar for road building, the hill people revolted. The person who came to lead them was an interesting figure. Alluri Sitaram Raju claimed that he had a variety of special powers. He could make correct astrological predictions and heal people, and he could survive even bullet shots. Captivated by Raju, the rebels proclaimed that he was an incarnation of God. Raju talked of the greatness of Mahatma Gandhi, said he was inspired by the non-cooperation movement and persuaded people to wear khadi and give up drinking. But at the same time, he asserted that India could be liberated only by the use of force, not non-violence. The Gooden rebels attacked the police stations, attempted to kill British officials and carried on guerrilla warfare for achieving Swaraj. Swaraj in the plantation workers. Swaraj and the plantation workers too had their own understanding of Mahatma Gandhi and the notion of Swaraj. For plantation workers in Assam, freedom meant the right to move freely in and out of the confined space in which they were enclosed, and it meant retaining a link with the village from which they had come. Under the Inland Immigration Act of 1859, plantation workers were not permitted to leave the tea gardens without permission, and in fact, they were rarely given such permissions. When the head of the non-cooperation movement, thousands of workers defied the authorities, left the plantations and headed home. They believed that Gandhi Raj was coming and everyone would be given land in their own villages. They, however, never reached their destination. They interpreted the term Swaraj in their own ways, imagining it to be a time when all suffering and all troubles would be over. Yet when the tribals chanted Gandhiji's name and raised slogans demanding Swatantra Bharat, they were also emotionally relating to an all-India agitation.